but how can we find a way? Because we do need artists to stand up for artists. But I will tell you, if this is going to happen, we want to be collective in our vision. To all of you who work day in and day out, sometimes with the help from groups like us, and sometimes on your own, we support you. So just let me know how we can help more. We got to keep the city growing. Thank you.
And please welcome RJ.
Ready to receive all the energy that we're getting from this event today. So I'm going to go through the chakras and express some affirmations about them, and then I'll just play some vibrational tuning to balance you all out. The root chakra, the color is red. It's about protection and security. The sacrum, the color is orange. It's about a peaceful sexuality. Solar plex, yellow. It's about confidence. I am confident in all my intentions is the affirmation. The heart chakra, the color is green. I am loved and I'm lovable. The throat chakra, I speak the truth in all my communication. The third eye, I intuitively know what to do in all of my daily activities. And the crown chakra, I am connected with the source greater than me, my higher power, which guides me, and I receive all the life and energy through me. From the base of your spine, the root chakra reaches up to the sacrum, which is 1 inch below your belly button. The solar plex is 1 inch above your belly button. And it is clear. The sacrum is clear and balanced. Your root chakra your heart chakra is in your chest. It is clear and balanced. And your chakra in your throat is clear and balanced. And your third eye, between your eyebrows, is clear and balanced. Your crown chakra is clear and balanced. So it is, our intentions are for us to have a fabulous day at this event. Thank you.
Now everyone, please welcome Jeremy Johnson, President and CEO of Assemblies for the Arts.
Thank you, Meg Macko. Let's hear from Meg Macko, one of our organizers for today. As I look across the room, this room is, I think, much more crowded than we expected. I think that is a very good sign. I've been sharing with folks, we think of Greater Cleveland as a passionate sports town, and I'm here to let you know we are a passionate arts and culture town as well. Absolutely. I hope you all will indulge us because we're going to go through a few things about the arts ecosystem. If you're wondering what you've signed up for today, this is Assembly for the Arts, our first in-person assembly, and we're going to be focusing in on individual artists, but also sort of what is happening in our city and our region, a state of the arts. So I hope you will indulge me as I sort of walk you through some things. We will have some acknowledgements first. And I want to start with our land acknowledgement. In recognizing the land upon which we reside, we express our gratitude and appreciation to those who lived and worked here before us, those whose stewardship and resilient spirit makes our residence possible on this traditional homeland of Native tribes. The Greater Cleveland area occupies land officially ceded by 1,100 chiefs and warriors signing the Treaty of Greenville in 1795. Let's pause for a moment. Thank you. You've heard from future Dave about where we are right now, and I just want to extend an additional note of gratitude to the Beachland Ballroom and Cindy Barber in absentia. She's under the weather today, but she is really a powerful force behind not just the space that we're in. I've enjoyed many a music night here, but also other initiatives and investments that are happening across the Waterloo Arts District and across North Collinwood. So a special thank you to the Beachland Ballroom for hosting us today. And we will be in your neighborhood soon, so yes, absolutely. Among my acknowledgements, and y'all, any of you who've heard me speak know, I always start out with quite a few thank yous. So enjoy your water, your lunch. We couldn't do what we do at Assembly for the Arts were it not for our board. Let me remind you all, Assembly for the Arts is a nonprofit 501c3 organization. We're an independent nonprofit 501c3 organization. We're led by a board of 27 members of our communities. And I want to invite one of our board members who's present today, Vince Robinson, to just come and just share words of welcome.
Thank you, Jeremy, and thank you to you for being here. We just witnessed something phenomenal, what RJ just did, because there is power in the vibrations in which we operate. All of us in this room, when we are united in purpose and we are united in strength, we have an ability to move mountains. We are witnessing a change in the landscape of the city's relationship with artists today. And I want you to be soldiers in that so that we can raise the bar. The vibrations that we listen to are healing vibrations. And the mission of artists in this community is to facilitate healing. So those of you who are in this room today, who relate to others as artists, please realize the power that you have to create change. We can depend on legislators to do the work, but it's us who do the work. So if you are here today and you paid for your lunch, you have a membership in this organization, I want you to be active members in this organization and support the work that we do. I welcome you, I thank you. Peace, progress, and prosperity to you.
Thank you, Mr. Robinson. Peace, prosperity, and progress. Any of you remember Don Cornelius? Oh yeah, I'm old enough to remember that. I want to also acknowledge the staff of Assembly for the Arts. We are growing to do the work that needs to be done to lift up the city. I'm not going to name all of them, but you see them behind me on the screen. A growing group of folks committed to the many aspects of arts in our greater Cleveland communities. I thank each and every one of them for lifting me up every day, for making our work happen, for carrying that passion that you all deliver so that we can execute on the pledge that Cleveland will be a great city of the arts. It is a great city of the arts and also a great city of equity. I want to change the order for us a minute here because we have a special guest and a special announcement. And I do want to make sure that we honor his presence. We have together really one of my best buddies. When I first arrived in Cleveland a year and a half ago, I ran into this person at meetings about town, public meetings. We drove together to different spots. He himself is a musician, a practicing musician, but he is also really one of the most outspoken members of our city government who every single time he stands up for the people in this room. And I'm talking about none other than Councilman Kevin Conwell. Yes, let's give it up for Kevin Conwell. As I go through the presentation today, so many things that we're talking about where we're making progress, where needles are being moved, especially on behalf of the city, are in large part because of the advocacy that Assembly is doing in alignment with what Councilman Conwell is doing to make things happen, both in front of the scenes and behind the scenes. If any of you ever watch the City Council YouTube meetings, you will see him stand and very often talk about the importance of art and music to his life and to our city. So I could go on and on, but I won't. But I do want to make this special surprise announcement. It's good news when you announce funding. And I know Valerie's in our back, Valerie Schumacher. Can we move to that slide? It's already behind me. So you're the first to hear. Our youth are so important to us in the city. Arts education is so important. And I'm going to link to this. We have Judy Ryder here, who is with the Cleveland Arts Education Consortium. The work of our youth and educating them. And we're very pleased that through Councilman Conwell's efforts, $100,000 will be shared among 4 different arts education groups to provide summer camps to our youth in the city. And you all are the first to hear about that. Councilman Conwell, please raise your hand, come and say hello. We want to thank you for advocating for that. The arts education institutions, you can see the music settlement, Rainey Institute, the Center for Art Inspired Learning, Julio de Borges Cultural Center. We cannot, in my mind, do enough work around making sure that even as we are creatives, that we're building and making sure young people are part of this great art city. Thank you, Councilman Conwell, for all of your work. We appreciate that. Let me keep it moving. Today we're talking about Assembly, the state of the arts. Really, that's a big topic here. But Assembly is meant to invite all of you together here so that we can stay current about the topics that are important to us and also share your voice. So towards the end of our session today, we will have an opportunity for a 2-minute sharing. My staff will come up and guide us through that. You can make notes throughout, but let's keep this moving as we talk about state of the arts right now. Are there any other elected officials in the room that I should acknowledge? Please raise your hand. Yes, we have Judd Klein here. Judd is I know you're running for office, but he's also a past representative, and currently you've worn many hats. Share with us. Councilman in Orange Village, we thank you. We cannot do our work without our government officials. I also want to acknowledge our other major government entity that is represented here today, and that's one that you all are aware of because many of you, if you're a nonprofit, you're funded by Cuyahoga Arts and Culture. So I want to acknowledge the staff and leadership there. We have Jill Paulson. Please raise your hand, Jill Paulson, and her staff are here. Cuyahoga Arts and Culture. I'm not going to do my chart. We do have a chart showing how Cuyahoga Arts and Culture and Assembly, we share 2 board members. That's by definition. For those of you who don't remember, when Assembly was established, we were a successor organization to a number of other organizations. We wanted to make sure we had that umbrella, how are we working across sectors. Cuyahoga Arts and Culture is a public agency, and Assembly is an independent nonprofit, but we are working in alignment. So let me keep it moving. Convening and coordinating is a big part of what we do, of course. Strengthening this community, building it. I always like to summarize what we do into 2 things. You've heard me say it. If you've heard me talk about the 2 big overlapping circles, a Venn diagram. Our mission is to grow the pie of resources and to increase the equity within the arts and culture sector. That's really what's driving, and that is challenging and exciting and rewarding work. So let's keep this moving to our next. We can go to the next one, Valerie, thank you. At our last gathering, one of the things we want to do is really just recap what we've heard from the community. And at our last gathering, this is what we heard from arts and culture groups. You asked, are we supporting artists who are still hurting? That's really important. We're gonna get to that in a second. The music industry looms large, of course, in our city, in our region. The live music industry, we're here right here at Beachland Ballroom. How is that community? But there are other communities as well. We've got the dance community, the theater community, we've got media, we've got a written community, we've got a whole slew. But that was raised at the last one. How are musicians? And we're going to look at some things that have happened in a positive way with musicians as a result of some federal investments. And of course, sort of the overriding thing, how are we activating the arts to promote Cleveland? So that brings us to the big question of the day. The next slide. How is Cleveland supporting individual artists? That's a big question, and there are a variety of answers. You're gonna hear a thread through my comments today, and I'll share that right at the outset. I am optimistic that individual artists in our greater Cleveland world will get the uplift that they need to make our city greater, our region greater. And it's gonna happen in some cases in the short term, in some cases in the medium term, in some cases in the long term. So let's keep this moving. So one of the things that has happened, and there we go, the three-legged stool. Have you heard me talk about the three-legged stool? How many of you consider yourselves part of the nonprofit arts community, nonprofit organizations? We've got quite a few of you here today representing. So that's one big important stool, leg stool of the creative community. Most nonprofits in our county have a connection, are funded by Cuyahoga Arts and Culture, and that really is a focus. They really were charted by the state looking at that. But there are other parts of our creative community as well. How many of you consider yourselves individual artists, practice as individual creatives? Quite a few, and there's overlap here. So important. Oftentimes, individual artists aren't always included very easily because of policies, because of barriers. If you got to connect to a nonprofit, and we're working to work on pushing policies that make it easier for individual artists to get support. They're so big a part of this. Of course, the third question is, how many of you are creative businesses, LLCs, you run for-profit small businesses? Again, overlap here. Again, a big part of our community. And I thank you all for letting me sort of go through this little bit, somewhat of a lecture. Some of you have heard me talk about this before. We cannot have a strong greater Cleveland without supporting and investing in all three legs of the stool. And the businesses, Beachland Ballroom is not a nonprofit. We are sitting in the middle of a for-profit small business. I always acknowledge Sean Watterson because many of you know he fought with national forces to invest in the midst of the pandemic to get the Save Our Stages funding, which amounted to, I'm gonna get the number wrong, but I know it was tens of billions with a B, dollars invested to save places like this that literally had to shut down. We're using that momentum to continue to find ways to invest in that leg of the stool. And we've got to continue to work on all three legs of the stool. And that's why Assembly was created. Let me remind you, we can really cover a multitude of these legs and look at innovative ways to invest, to provide support, to convene. We're working on it. We're a year and a half years old, and we are open to your inputs, your insights to help us to make this happen. We're doing this together. And we can go to the next one. A good example, forgive us if you've seen this before, but I think this is really one of the strongest examples. The American Rescue Plan Act. These are dollars, stimulus dollars that went to artists, nonprofits, and also creative businesses. And you'll know that, literally billions of dollars have floated down from Washington, D.C. They have floated to our county. Thank you to our county executive, our current county executive, Chris Ronayne, our past county executive, Armand Budish. They floated down to our city. Thank you to our mayor, our city council, our city president. But we, and you all, I say we, when I say we, I mean literally the people in this room advocated with us. You wrote postcards, you took pictures. We had campaigns to say to our elected officials, we are hurting, but we are a vibrant part of this. Please make sure these rescue plans also support our creative community. And we've done that, and Assembly was a partner and a tool to do that. We at Assembly took we were able to get the county to invest $1.5 million in over 400 artists, over 50 small businesses. Are any of you willing to admit that you were part of getting ARPA dollars? You don't have to raise your hand if you don't want to, but we'd love to know who got some of those stimulus dollars, which is so important to invest in our community. We have testimonies from some of those, and of course we're gonna have those slides coming up. Let's keep it moving. This is an important slide. You may not be able to see the details of it, but those ARPA dollars, federal dollars, what we had heard from the communities, oftentimes when there are programs, funding programs, we're left out. Our communities are left out. Our Black and brown communities may not hear about them, they may not be aware of them. With advocacy and our team, we did special sessions in various parts of our community. And as it turned out, when we calculated who did get those funds, we were really happy to see, interestingly, the largest percentage group were musicians. Yes, musicians, both in the artist category and the business category. And the artist category by more than 40%, and in business category, I can't quite see out there, and these ARPA dollars were distributed across the county. So you're saying, Jeremy, why are you sharing with this? Let's get it on. But I wanted to share with you that whether it's from Bay Village to Chagrin Falls, where's Chagrin Arts? Yes. And to Cleveland proper, to the east side of Cleveland, to Parma. I was in Parma at Prama the other night. Have you all been to Prama? You gotta check out that oldest arts gallery in Parma. But it's across our county and our region. We have to do more of this. These were stimulus dollars you see behind us for artists, but for individual artists and creative businesses. But this, in my mind, this is just the beginning of what we can and what we will do. So let's keep that moving next. Yeah. Working the problem. All right, I keep mentioning public officials. If you're not active in contacting your public officials or getting to know them, seeing who they are, you should do that. They have the reins of literally tons of opportunities that the artist community needs to rise up and be a part of. And here's one that's coming up that you all help to advocate for as well. Another $3 million. I just talked about $1.5 million. Another $3 million, if you've been following the papers, has been allocated and approved by the city of Cleveland for what is called public transformative art. Do I just mean visual arts? No. All kinds of art that will be using ARPA funds. And we also advocated, and the Mayor Bibb listened, and so did the City Council, that artists be a part of how these dollars are distributed. Let me repeat that. Individual artists are part of the decision-making, the advisory work that will determine how these $3 million will be deployed. Is that the be-all and the end-all? No. But again, we are moving the needle around policy to make sure individual artists, and they're actually named here. These are not just people, you may know some of these artists. Some are in this room. Let's keep it moving. We can go to the next one. I'm not gonna stay on this one other than to say, when you all told us that artists were hurting, when we surveyed through the ARPA applications that you were hurting, this is what you told us. That longest bar there in the middle, 315 out of some 400 folks said it's like fourth from the bottom. I often or sometimes worry that I don't have enough money to pay my bills. This is more than 75% of those folks who get those ARPA dollars. Other things, the very top one, the red, that's the farthest left, 141. I'm worried or concerned that in the next 2 months, I may not have stable housing that I own, rent, or stay in. I may not have stable housing. Is housing an issue? Is live workspace an issue in our great region? Is where artists live and work? Can we have arts districts without artists? Can we have culture districts without arts and creatives? No, we cannot. So how are we working to make sure that we can mitigate those factors? So many things. Let's keep this moving. And soon you're gonna hear from my colleague in crime. I'm gonna pass this one for right now. These are just some testimonials. There was a musician I spoke with who was applying for the ARPA dollars and said, when the COVID pandemic hit now 2 years in, he and his family, he had to stop. He did both professional gigs, but he also played for churches and funerals and weddings. It all dried up. He was forced to go on SNAP, and his family, really heart-wrenching to hear. So we're still recovering from this. And these are some testimonies of artists who have benefited from this. I'm not gonna read through them all. We'll have the slideshow available, but we wanna recognize visual artists, performing artists, musicians. So let's keep these moving. Beautiful mural. And I wanna call up one of the newest members of our team, Deirdre McPherson. I met her probably my first week arriving back to Cleveland. Y'all know my story. I grew up in Glenville. I left Ohio after college, moved to New Jersey, now came back. So excited to be on Public Square. I met a woman by the name of Deirdre McPherson who was there at a booth for Dance Cleveland promoting the power of dance and the power of arts. I started following her and seeing her about, and when the opportunity came for us to grow our team, I jumped at the opportunity to bring her aboard. I want to invite Deirdre McPherson, who, you're right in front of me. Come. Bifocals.
Thank you, Jeremy. Good afternoon, everyone. I am excited to share some initial details for our upcoming award, the Creative Impact Fund. And this is in partnership with our friends at Cuyahoga Arts and Culture. This is our regranting program. As you may know, Cuyahoga Arts and Culture does regranting programs through the Julia de Burgos Cultural Arts Center, Spaces, Karamu House, these wonderful programs that are helping to increase funds into the hands of artists to create and to help transform these institutions and to help progress their artistic practice. So our award is called the Creative Impact Fund. And our goal with this award is to support the investment and growth of transformative arts with a focus on our redlined communities that have historically lacked arts funding. We are asking for projects that center arts and culture and reflect and represent the surrounding community and supports the investment and growth of communities specifically in the city of Cleveland and East Cleveland. This award will be open to artists, individual artists, as well as informal groups and artist collectives. And it's open to all disciplines, so not limited to visual art, also the performing arts. We want to be as inclusive because we know that we have a vibrant arts ecosystem that includes all of the arts. Okay, let's go to the next slide, please. More details to share. Yes, so there will be a total of $100,000 distributed to artists and in the amount of $6,250, with part of that being available for unrestricted funding and the rest for project funds. And in addition to funds, recipients will have the support of Assembly staff. We will support their marketing. We will help them to make essential connections to institutions, to other creatives, people who can support their work in addition to our staff. This will be going live on our website. Applications will open next Friday, March 17th, and they will remain open until May 7th. To help us get the word out about this award, we will be hosting a number of in-person information sessions. So please keep your eyes open and we'll be informing all of you about those. But probably starting the week of March 20th and each week after that, we'll have 3 to 5 information sessions as well as a virtual one. And I think that is it. And we'll be taking questions following the presentation. So pass it back to you, Jeremy.
Thank you, Deirdre. You ain't seen nothing yet. I want to announce we have another one of our board members is here, Talise Campbell, who is an artist, dancer. You may know her from Joppo Dance and Cultural Center. I'm getting the name wrong, but raise your hand, Talise Campbell, one of our board members. Wave again. You can really see that face. Speaking of dancers and creatives, one of the things I think I'm really proud of that's sort of been under the radar that Assembly helped to launch in our first 18 months was a project called Arts Leadership Residency. Back to individual artists, how are artists being empowered? These were some 25 creatives, and they were a mix of that three-legged stool, but mostly individual artists, a few creative businesses, and just a few nonprofits. These 25 individuals were leaders and powerful folks in their own right, and we went through a process of 6 months in partnership with the Cleveland Leadership Center. If you all know CLC, you know they really are the organization that specializes in cohort leadership development. So we partnered with them and did a bang-up job in bringing these folks together, providing them with stipends for their time. Let me iterate that one more time, because this is a bugaboo of mine. While you're not getting paid to be here right now, we recognize your time is money. And when we develop programs as a part of our philosophy, especially among artists and creatives, thank God we have investors and stakeholders that allow us to understand that time is money. When we bring folks, we're not just tapping cultural capital, social capital. How do we even that out? So we provided, I mean, these are not life-changing stipends, but they were stipends to enable this group of cohorts to be part of this 25 member group, 6 months. They have now completed that. We're gonna continue their work. I want to acknowledge then again, who makes it possible for us to do this? No one asked me, you will ask, how does Assembly do what we do? Who pays us to do what we do? We do have funders, and some of them are in this room. It won't surprise you that Cleveland's major philanthropies do support us. The Cleveland Foundation, the Gun Foundation. I believe I saw Jennifer Coleman here from the Gun Foundation. We also have support from the Chan Fowler Family Foundation. We have support from Ohio Arts Council. We have support from Cuyahoga Arts and Culture. We're joined with them, and we also get support from them. But I do want to acknowledge that we, as a nonprofit, we do lean and depend on those groups for support. So why is this important? As you look, you got to follow the money. That's why it's important. I think it's important that we be transparent, that we have partners, the city, funders that help us to do our work. And that's really important to acknowledge. So let me just keep this moving. Revision. Part of what we're doing as we look at the issues for our community, we're going to be bringing you all together in smaller groups and smaller sessions to look at the hot topics that we need to be more organized on. So helping us lead this work is Meg Macko and our team looking at a series of sessions called Revision. Accessible Futures is something we did earlier this year, looking at the opportunities and challenges for those in making their organizations and their work more accessible. We have one coming up on Creative Spaces on April 13th. Is that a Zoom, Meg, or is that in person, or to be determined? That's in person. Are things happening in Cleveland about creative spaces? Are artists finding it difficult to afford rent? As cultural districts are created, how are they working with our city, with our county? Are there groups that are already doing work around land banks and other kinds of banks? Are there co-op models where we can be autonomous about our creative spaces? I am really interested in autonomy. Some of those issues will be addressed and looked at Creative Spaces on April 13th. We have some folks in this room who own their own spaces and do their work in their communities in their own spaces and are vibrant in doing that. Can we do more of that? I'm looking at M. Carmen Lane in front of me at Atensec. And I've been in that space at Attentic multiple times, seeing artists arrive and be fulfilled by the work that happens there. And I'm not gonna go on because I know I'm not won't get it all right because it's so much. But that is a space owned. What will it mean for artists to own their own? And how can we move with policy to get that to happen more? So, access to funds. This is always ongoing things. How do you get find the funds if you're a nonprofit or for-profit? Coming up July 13th. And here's something some of you may not have heard about, but if you're watching, it's become a national point of discussion. Guaranteed basic income, especially how that's connected to the creative community. Stay tuned for that on October 13th. Next, please. We do a number of things in partnership with Cuyahoga Arts and Culture. One of them is the Arts and Culture Network Night. We're doing more partnership, and this is by design. This is really a gathering place where it's more social than today, where you're listening to me, but it's more sociable and break out into small groups. A really way to network and also to get issues out to the fore. Next, please. As we go before our city council, before the county council, before the state capitol, before our friends in DC to drive more dollars to arts and culture, they're asking us this question. Well, how much money does the arts and culture community generate? Why should we support you? Are you generating jobs? How much are people paying when they come to the Beachland Ballroom? Well, we got an answer for that. And we're doing a survey. You've seen it if you've gone to any of the events around town, around the region. We're part of a national survey called AEP6. AEP stands for Arts and Economic Prosperity. This is the sixth time we're doing it, so there's a 6. And for the first time in Cleveland's history, we're going to be part of this national survey of how people spend dollars when they are part of, in this case, it's mostly nonprofits. We're working on them to get to more for-profits. Right, Sean Watterson? Get more for-profits involved, absolutely. This is going to be powerful information that we will have this fall to show how many millions and billions are generated when people participate in arts and culture. So please do fill out, do one of these surveys. It takes about 60 seconds, 120 seconds. Our person, Veronica V. Thornton, is really helping to lead this effort. Thank you for that. Let's keep it moving. Next. What's going on in Cleveland this weekend, tonight? Where do I turn? Which radio station do I have to turn to? Which nonprofit site do I go to? Well, there is actually a site that combines so much of that, and it's called clevelandartsevents.com. If you're using your phone, you can go there right now. We're tweaking that, and this is again a partnership between Assembly for the Arts and Cuyahoga Arts and Culture. If you are funded by CAC, you already upload this information to that site, but you do not have to be funded by CAC to upload information. I don't think there's any gathering of creatives where people are saying, we need a common calendar. And there are some common calendars that are even beyond this that are happening, and they can upload to this too. But this is really an important clearinghouse. I encourage you to visit it and visit it often. When you all see me, some of you follow me on my Facebook page or you follow me through Assembly. Many times when I learn about, I actually go to this website. I do. I practice what I preach. I go there and say, what is happening this month, this weekend, and I'm able to really find all the great things happening in our region. Next, please, advocacy. I've talked a little bit about this. All right, let's get to one of the big elephants here. In December, your legislators and your governor passed a bill, Senate Bill 164. That didn't happen by accident. I'm going to bring you in on a little secret. Before that bill passed, Assembly and our partner, we're part of advocacies. We already knew we were going to have to find a way to get more resources to expand the pie. One of the biggest pieces of the pie right now in Cuyahoga County is funding that comes to Cuyahoga Arts and Culture. Before we can even begin to think about that funding, before we can even think about it, we needed to have permission. If you've ever been a kid like I was a kid and you wanted permission to go to the candy store down the street, you had to ask your mom. I had to ask my mom permission. Can I go down the street or can I go hang out with my kids across? Well, we needed to ask permission before we can even begin to do this. We needed to ask Columbus, our legislators in Columbus. Why is this important to you? I should remind you all that we are in Cuyahoga County, and Columbus is 2 hours down the road. Columbus is very important to us to get that permission. So we literally, myself, consultants that we brought on board, we literally spoke to, talked to, asked what is the best way for us to get permission for Cuyahoga voters to go to the polls and support the arts. Is it a home rule state? Sometimes yes, sometimes no. In this case, no. We need permission from Columbus. And they would say, okay, you have permission to change how you do this. And the good news is we got that permission. And that's basically what the Senate bill is. I better read this carefully. We've been in dialogue with everyone to say, don't say the wrong thing. But I think I could say we were successful in getting permission. But this is the first step of many steps. And let me remind you, one of those steps is not just going to the polls. Before anything goes to the polls, there's got to be research, there's got to be polling, there's got to be who pays for a campaign. One of the wonderful recent campaigns is our metro parks. We love our metro parks. Anyone here affiliated with our great metro parks? They are awesome. And they had a campaign where we voters, I went to the polls, I said, yes, I want to support metro parks. Well, the arts and culture community, we now have permission to do that again. But that campaign will cost money. It will need cohesion. I don't want to get ahead of ourselves because we're just at the beginning. We haven't gotten the polls, no money has been raised yet, but we're working on that. And if it sounds like Jeremy is saying, how can we come together to be more unified? And that's hard, but not just be unified for unification's sake, but how can we find a way? Because we do need artists to stand up for artists. But I will tell you, if this is going to happen, we want to be collective in our vision. So stay tuned for more on that. I'll just leave you hanging there, but let me just read the last couple bullets here. The last bullet, by law, Cuyahoga Arts and Culture. By the way, this levy does connect to Cuyahoga Arts and Culture, our sister agency, because they're the ones that would receive those funds, not Assembly. And CAC is established to fund nonprofit organizations only. So that's another one of those things. How are we going to support more artists and creative businesses? So that's why Assembly is here to look not just at this as our only way to do that, but look at many other ways. And that's where private funding, other public funding comes into bear. And how can Assembly push all of these? So this levy is not the be-all and the end-all. That's my short answer, if you're asking. It's not the be-all and end-all, but it is an important arrow in our quiver to shoot more support. I'm almost to the end here, if you're wondering. I was wondering. Advocacy. I want to give another shout out to Councilman Conwell. Yeah, he said, Conwell, has he done all that? Heck yes, absolutely. Were you aware that a committee was formed in the city of Cleveland called the Health, Human Service, and Arts Committee? Who do you think was responsible for adding the "and arts" to that? Kevin Conwell, absolutely. There's so many things. That's so important because now you can go on YouTube and watch that committee, and when they are talking about the arts, we are right at the table. Assembly, oftentimes CAC is there with us, and other partners. And we're gonna also get to this point with the county and the state, but I wanna thank Kevin publicly for that work, making sure the arts are central. All right, I want to thank go to the next slide, we're going to talk about funders. Where do private funders fit into this overall ecosystem? They have been a partner with the mayor and city council as well. A year and a half ago, when we had many of these sessions, you all said, we gotta get a point person in City Hall. Other cities have multi-million-dollar City Hall-based work that lifts up the community. And for all the great art that's in this city, not to have that connective tissue in City Hall has been critical. So you all saw the article 2 weeks ago or a week and a half ago, where it's now official. City Hall has approved to create the position, and you're saying, well, who's gonna pay for it? You ever hear people ask that about government? Well, it's getting started with support by the Cleveland Foundation, and City Hall has officially approved to accept those dollars. There are a lot of votes that go into all these things. You vote to do it, you vote to accept the money, you vote to expect, well, those votes have already happened. And I wanna thank again, our City Hall, our council president, Blaine Griffin in absentia. I wanna thank our city council city council representatives, and our Mayor Bibb for making this happen. This point person, if you speak with Joyce Wong, who's Director of Planning, is very excited because she's been carrying the load of a lot of the City Hall work. Now, this person to be named, if you all have an interest in that position, they haven't announced the application process yet. It's never too early to lift up a name who will be connecting these dots in City Hall, but it's happening. And that's all credit to the advocacy. Let's keep this moving next. We did the summer arts camps. Kudos again. You never did say anything, Councilman Conwell. Do you want to at least say hello? Because I've said your name like 25 times.
Jeremy is right. You gotta be there, man. You have to be at City Hall sometime, talking with my colleagues. A lot of them, they want to help, but they don't know the way. But you can show and teach the way, but you have to be there. Sometimes you might get frustrated, but they don't know what you're thinking. They're not practicing visual arts, so they're not, although, I have a drum set in my office. And I got a set of xylophones in my office also. Yeah. So that's how they'll know, by your being there to let them know, and then they'll know the way. And by the arts committee being set up, what we need to do, because it's your tax dollars, is to eventually start moving forward to put some funding inside when we do the budget for artists to set aside. But it's gonna have to be you guys helping to lead the way. And as you mentioned with the Senate bill, I'll probably write some legislation to support that and send it down to the governor. Also, Governor Mike DeWine, he loves music also, but he doesn't know the way. But it's up to you guys as a community to teach us and show the way. And that's very, very important. With me, you have me at the table. So when you talk with me, I understand the way. And I talk with them, as well as my wife, because she hears me practicing all the time. My wife is a county councilwoman. So I'm in a city, and she's in the county. So you have both friends there to help out so we know the way. I'm gonna sit down in a second, but let me say this. Majority and a lot of the musicians, when I travel and I go to other cities like New York, Austin, Texas, Nashville, and Memphis, Tennessee, a lot of the musicians and the artists have left Cleveland, and they're down there making money and building the economy in these other cities, and it should be here in Cleveland, Ohio. Why do you think the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame is here? It's because of you guys. Because of you guys right here. So we can take Cleveland and we can make Cleveland grow. It's sad when you come to this city here and at 9 o'clock, it goes to sleep. But you have all the artists that's here, like you guys, they end up leaving and you frustrated. Councilman, how you doing again? Hope you win your election out there. So we're there. But my music is folded up into my politics, and I'm there to help, and we can make Cleveland grow. We can make it grow. Why do you think people want to go to New Orleans? When they go there for their anniversaries, and then when they go there to visit, they see the artists around there playing music, and it makes people want to come back to that city. But if they have murals up there and everything in New Orleans, and people want to go back to the city, and the city make money because of you. Because of you. People don't want to go to a city and it goes to sleep at 9 o'clock at night. That's crazy, man, that's crazy. And even when we do benefits agreements, the arts should be intertwined in it. And I'm gonna tell you this, some years ago, I was in trouble with cancer. You know about that. And while I was going through chemotherapy, I would be in the back room practicing. I'm in the back room practicing. Other people would look staring right at the wall while their patch was on them going through the chemotherapy. But it's the artwork that helped me out also, beside God as well. It helped me to survive. I was 3B colon cancer, 3B leaving here, going elsewhere, but it was the arts. While they're sitting there saying, woe is me, I was practicing on my music. I was practicing on the arts. I had like a chemotherapy patch while I'm practicing. That will keep you balanced. And so even at Cleveland Clinic, Metro Hospital, as well as University Hospital, the arts should be intertwined in a lot of the healing process that Vince Robinson was talking with me about coming here. Isn't that right, V? It should be in there, so you guys should be included in that as well. And they know it, but we gotta go visit them. I had to walk you in, we had to visit. You know, we work and we walk. You should be intertwined in all of this stuff that's going on. So it is a new day, and I can go on and on, but I'm gonna go back there because I gotta go to a 1 o'clock meeting. Thank you, and God bless.
Thank you.
Y'all walking like you talking, or you lose that beat.
Thank you. Thank you, Councilman Conwell. We're towards the end where we're participation. I'm going to turn this over to Meg Macko.
Hey everybody, so if you came in and did a raffle ticket, you filled out a raffle ticket, we're gonna do that now. So when it gets chosen, you can come up and you talk for 2 minutes about projects you have coming up or something in the community. It'll be 2 minutes. So I'm gonna pull that real quick now, and then we're gonna move into Q&A and dialogue, which Janita and I are gonna do. Hopefully. Can you hear me? I'm sorry, this is really tall. Okay, there we go. Okay. Ready? Okay, number 190218, Allison Black.
Hi, I'm Allison Black. I'm the Executive Director of America's Scores Cleveland, which is an after-school programming, that does soccer, creative writing, poetry, and service learning in 16 Cleveland 1st through 8th grade schools. So a couple things, we are still looking for coaches. So if people would like to come and be a part of the after-school program in a couple of our schools, come see me afterwards. I will give you our card, our website on how to apply. It's usually 2 days a week for about 75 minutes to 90 minutes, doing either the soccer component or the creative writing community service component for the spring. And the other thing is, I think there are a few artists in here who are doing our inspired art. Possibly, I feel like I saw a few people. We have a fundraising event June 3rd, and artists create a piece of artwork based on poems the children have written in the fall. So you pick a poem and then you create your artwork that we then use in our silent auction to fundraise for the programming for the rest of the year. So that is it. Thanks.
Sharon Fox. Sharon, there she is.
Good afternoon. Hello, everyone. My name is Sharon McPherson Fox. I am an artist, performing artist. I sing, I dance, I act. So like most artists, we have multiple things going on. It was my personal goal to be like the Darlene Love of Cleveland, Ohio. And so I also enjoy background singing. I sing with Wish You Were Here with the Pink Floyd tribute band in Cleveland. I also have a solo project, Fox & Company, and I'd like to thank Kevin Conwell before he leaves. He came out to support us a couple weeks ago at St. Aloysius and actually played the drum. So I have some business cards if anyone would like one of my solo band. We play in and around Cleveland. And I'd just like to thank you for this opportunity. Glad to see everyone out. And again, if you like a card, just come by and see me and I'll give you a card. Thank you.
Jeremy, I have a quick question for you in regards to SB 164. Do you know if that permission also includes permission to expand the syntax to include other tobacco products like vaping products and snuff and all those other things that are not included in the cigarette tax?
It gives us permission to change that to a wholesale tax and also to expand that to vaping products.
Okay, great.
So cigarettes and vaping products.
All right, collective, because I know there are other public officials like myself who have very strong interest in seeing the arts and the value of it to our community and would work on behalf of this organization, both to campaign with in Columbus, as we have, and campaign in Washington, D.C., as we have. So just planting that seed and hope that you'll bring it. Thank you.
Thank you for that, and I think we're going to move forward with that.
Marie Yukich from Cleveland Clinic Arts and Medicine. So thank you, Councilman. We'll keep working on integrating artists into our programming. I wanted to let you all know that we, as well as Metro Center for Arts and Health and Assembly for the Arts, are welcoming the National Organization for Arts and Health, the national organization. Their annual conference will be in Cleveland this year, September 19th to the 21st. So this is the first announcement letting you all know that that's happening, and there'll be a lot of work in the coming months in trying to engage the artist community in all three legs of the stool. Thank you.
Really appreciate that three-legged stool approach. My question, you mentioned the arts calendar, and the question is, will you be coordinating with Destination Cleveland? We're already coordinating with you on our end. What I've seen from music calendars and events calendars is completeness is a feature. It's what causes people to rely on things. And we have the technology now to go out and scrape websites instead of have people submit. So just a request to consider using the technology to make things complete, and then also a question on whether you're going to be coordinating with Destination Cleveland so that it's as comprehensive and effective as possible.
Destination Cleveland, Hannah Belcito and I are fast friends in Leadership Cleveland together. But to your point about making sure we can scrape other sites, we've got Janita Blue, wave your hand, Janita Blue, really working on our technical side of social media. We'll make sure that we can make sure that we're connecting those two things together. And thank you, Sean, and also all the music industry people. Next question.
Jeremy, more than just a calendar, we're working with CAC to really beef that up and make it happen. So.
I'm a producer. Yeah, she was my agent. But anyway, I have a question on so what if I want to open up a recording studio in the community for artists to come and work on their music and do stuff? How do I get the help from you guys to do that?
Navigate becoming that business. If you've already done recording studios, are you already a member of the music industry group? I know Cindy, I don't know if she's here today. But Cindy Barber, as well as Lisa Klaus. Lisa Klaus has a great network of musicians that are in the recording industry. So we can help to make those connections, and also we can help facilitate working with our partners, other kinds of business incubators. Let me be clear, there are a lot of business incubator things that are already happening in our great city, and I think the role of Assembly, how can we connect to them so we're not reinventing wheels? The question around a new business, we don't do that every day at Assembly, but there are others too, but we might need to put that artist cultural lens on it, and we are growing to make those connections so that you can get that recording studio, hopefully in one of our communities where we most need it in Greater Cleveland. We're happy to work with you and hear your story and how we can help.
Oh, thank you.
Do we have time for 2 more? All right. These are our calendar behind you. Thank you, Valerie. I mentioned Valerie Schumacher, Meg Matko, Veronica Thornton, Janita Blue, Deirdre McPherson, Abigail Del Rio. Thanks for bringing the food, Abby. And in absentia, Christian Putch, who does our grant writing. Leandra Richardson, my right hand and my left hand. We're gonna end this so we can commingle and network. If you have to get off to your jobs or your artwork, we're gonna close this down unless my team tells me otherwise. A special thanks again to the Beachland Ballroom. A special thanks to our funders, to our board members, to all of you who work day in and day out, sometimes with the help from groups like us, and sometimes on your own. We support you. So just let me know how we can help more. We gotta keep the city growing. Thank you.